G'day Smoke and Dagger fans. Today we're making beef tallow. This is a great way to use your excess trimmings when you're cutting a big boy brisket. We had a 16-pound Angus Black Opal Wagyu brisket today, trimmed all the way back to a competition cut, and we're left with all this fat, marbled, white gold. This will make the best type of beef tallow you can imagine. Check it out. Step 1, we need to get the fatty cuts into our stock pot to reduce down to make the beef tallow. This is a really important step because some of these, as you can see, mostly meat. So we're gonna save these bits and we'll mince them up later. We're concerned with this stuff. Delicious for anything that needs a hit of umami flavor. Step 2, as you can see, we've sorted through all the offcuts, get the really extra fatty pieces. This is gonna make the best product for our beef tallow. This is going straight onto the stove on a low heat. We're gonna render this out over several hours. We'll make sure that it's at the right consistency, and we'll be using a skimming tool to take all the protein out of it before we go into the jarring. Come join us on the stove. All right, we're here on the stove. We're chucking it on a medium to low heat. As you can see, I've got the lid off and I'm going to turn the exhaust fan on. Now, why we're using a stock pot here and not a shallower pan or a smaller pot, it's because we're going to get a lot of fat firing up once the heat becomes a little bit higher temperature on some of this fat, and we're going to want to protect ourselves at all times. So by using a taller stock pot, we've got less of a chance of the fat bursting off in every angle, hitting us in the face, and more importantly, keeping our benches clean. G'day everyone, we're on step 3. So now we've got tallow goodness reduced down to pretty much just fried beef protein and the fatty remains, which will make the basis of our tallow. So this has been going now for 4 hours on a low heat. Been stirring it probably every 30 minutes or so, just making sure nothing sticks to the bottom. So I'm gonna skim this off now using this handy skimmer that we have available. It's going to transfer the protein out of the stock pot, then we'll strain it, and what's left is that tallowy goodness. Check it out. This is the 4th and final step of making your own beef tallow at home. Got some equipment that makes this job a whole lot easier. I've got some tongs, and these are going to be used to pick up a very hot glass container. Once I fill this mason jar with beef tallow, as you saw that just came off the stove, it's going to be very hot. So we're not going to want to touch this with our hands. I've also got a funnel. This is going to make pour into the mason jar a lot easier. So definitely recommend something with a very wide berth, mitigating any hot oil spilling over the sides. Lastly, I've got my mason jar. So this has been disinfected, and you can see it's got a pop top, which will help indicate that the seal is airtight. Once I put this hot oil beef tallow into the mason jar, I'm going to make sure no air or bad bacteria can get back in and spoil any of our hard-earned fat. Watch as I magically turn this beef tallow into some greasy goodness. So that's the final step complete. We've now got 2 mason jars filled with high quality, pure Wagyu beef tallow. The highest quality, and will be an absolute umami explosion when you add it to your cooking. I can't wait to add this to our beef brisket that we've got on the go. Just be careful when you're handling the mason jars after you've poured them. They will be extremely hot. We're gonna want to let these cool, and you'll see that amber, what is a liquid at the moment of the beef tallow, it will turn more of a solid white, settles down in the fridge, put a more of an ambient room temperature. So that's all for us today at Smoke and Dagger. We've had a blast making some beef tallow using some of our beef brisket offcuts. As you can see, there's nothing to it. 4 simple steps. Encourage you to give this a go.